We could introduce ourselves here. Actually, we could say what that would be like one last piece. Yeah, just 2 minutes of saying like who we are, what we do. I'll start.
In our rubber shoes.
Yes, you should always have rubber shoes. For all aspiring creatives, rubber shoes are the future because it's comfort.
My wife hates them. You're not wearing those?
Rubber shoes are the best. Hi there, my name's Nick. I'm the founder of Vollebak, along with my twin brother, who is currently not here. This project has been about maybe 2 years in the making. It's a funny project to explain. We're basically building a spaceship, which is actually our first shop. You know, we make clothes. Clothes companies have shops. But for us, you know, I'd studied 7 years of architecture, and for me, the idea of building a traditional shop was never going to happen. It felt like when we first did a shop, it shouldn't be a conventional shop. A spaceship felt about right because we make stuff from the future. For us, it seemed inevitable that clothes are going to be delivered one day in a spaceship.
If you think about how do we ship goods on Earth, we put it in a container, we put it on a ship, and we sail it around the world. And in the future, that's also how we're going to ship things in space. When you have industry on the moon and you need to get your clothes to Mars, you will use our galactic transporter, the Spaceshop, for that. So it's really a concept study of transporting goods and materials and clothing, high-tech clothing, from one planet to another planet.
It's a spaceship. It's got 8 Bang Olufsen speakers in it. It's being made by architects who make this stuff for the European Space Agency. It's a totally wild project. This project has been quite a while in the making, and there's maybe 3 parts to the project, and they all focus around the idea of anodized metal across 3 things: a jacket, a speaker, and a spaceship. Since day one of Vollebak, we've been fascinated by materials, and working with Bang Olufsen, I think they have a similar fascination with materials and a similar fascination with engineering. They're in the sort of sound and technology space, and we're in the clothing space, but I think our fascinations are similar.
Working with an icon like Bang & Olufsen and working with Vollebak, our absolute favorite clothing company in the world, is a dream come true. It is a project like that, they come maybe once in a career.
For us at Vollebak, and hopefully for Creston at Bang & Olufsen, the Space Shop has a kind of timeless quality to it in terms of it's got this inner childlike fun of, we'd like our first shop to be a spaceship.
When people see it, when my little son looks at it and they see the doors opening, the lights turn on, the speakers blasting, it will be this big, deep feeling that you feel inside. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your background, it will just be the striking, futuristic concept art.
But it also has engineering challenges behind it, which are brilliant, and it has material authenticity behind it, which allows us to make a speaker pretty much not like any bit of technology I've seen before, and a jacket which is very unlike any other jacket I've seen before. Space Shop is going to open this year in June 2025. If you're watching this film, it's already been opened, and then we're going to tour our Space Shop around the world. We're recording this entire film on cameras which are very much not from 2025, much to the love of our director of photography. This is the camera we're filming on, hence the footage being so beautiful. For us, it felt really fun to make the spaceship a bit like the DeLorean, and Back to the Future was the seminal film for me and Steve growing up, so it made sense that we should film the entire thing on the camera that Marty McFly had in Back to the Future. My brother and I were ex-advertising, and advertising is mostly bollocks because it's the polish on top of a company, and what we're trying to do here is just show there is no polish, there's just some people. We all happen to be at companies, but what we're all into is making mad shit, so before we die we can look back on our lives and go, oh, we did that. It shows the reality of a project, and I think what's really nice about the reality of a project is at the heart of it there's just a few brilliant people or a team of brilliant people involved, and that's how a project comes to life. And I think it's really a beautiful thing to show how projects come to life and just to show the team behind it. This is the film, and this is the making of the Space Shop. Oh, one take! Bruce, how do you like that?
My name is Sebastian Aristoteles. I'm the co-founder and lead architect of SAGA Space Architects. I have an art degree. I have a degree in architecture, and then I studied at the International Space University in Strasbourg. So our main occupation for the last few months have been building a spaceship for Vollebak together with Bang Olufsen.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm the creative director at B&O, and I've been fortunate enough to be part of creating a spaceship. That's the first in my 30-year career at Bang Olufsen. I think we have some pretty awesome things going on, a bit of lucky accidents and some very controlled science.
Here's an interesting brief, right? A lot of the projects we normally do is life and death, right? You gotta put a person underwater and he's got to survive, right? That's some of the projects we sometimes do. Here, the brief was different. Here, the brief was, you guys build real space stuff. Let us build the coolest fucking pop-up clothing store that the world has ever seen. It's got to travel around the world and it's got to be real. It's something that we feel every day because I'm literally sitting over there. I feel the glare of the welding on the side of my face when Frederik is down welding and putting things together. So it's in our lives, it's what we breathe, it's everything we think about is the Vollebak Spaceshop. It is the most exciting project we have been doing in a long time because we get to play around, we get to think about what does the future of interplanetary travel look like when we have industry in space? What does the transporter look like when Vollebak has a clothing store on the moon, on Mars and on Earth, and we have to send clothing between the factories to the shop, to the people getting the clothing? What does that interplanetary clothing transportation vehicle look like? We redesigned the spacecraft in the early concept phase, I want to say 50 times. I think we have 50 prototypes of weird shapes and sizes. And I think the design criteria from Vollebak to make something that was striking, something that looks like the future, was so hard that, you know, it took us many tries to get it right. And finally we settled on this, which I think is almost the most realistic. It is the most close to the future. I mean, it's the coolest thing, right? I love it. You know, we design something. First we do some mock-ups. We sit in a 3D software and we do some mock-ups. We 3D print them. We look at them. We get some feedback from Vollebak. We talk with Bang Olufsen. We review the shapes until we have something that is interesting, something that looks like the future and would work in the future. Once we have that, we start going in and do renderings, photorealistic renderings. We start to place all the components. And then we like to do all digital fabrication. And that means that the parts that we design gets shaped, cut, laser cut, drilled, bent by machines so that the accuracy is very, very high. Hello, I'm in the workshop right now. This block cam is fucking heavy. I'm gonna be a bodybuilder when we are finished with shooting this. Here's Rafa. The big machine is always, it's one of those machines that can tear itself apart if you fuck it up or if you do the programming wrong. So the first cut is always a bit scary. But now we're gonna check and see if the files look correct. And then we're gonna start CNC machining. This is absolutely cutting edge stuff. You know, we're using state-of-the-art software and hardware to design and prototype it. We go from a complete CAD model with all the information, with every single part, down to 3D printing for prototyping, laser cutting for prototyping. And once we have the shapes and the sizes that we need, we can check for collisions everywhere in the software. We can render it out and do simulations. We can test all the opening and actuators. We are in the core of our workshop. So we have electronics up there, we have CNC machines down there, but this is the main assembly. And this is where we are going to assemble the Vollebak Spaceshop over the next many weeks. We've been working on this for almost a year on and off with the design and the concept and back and forth with both Vollebak and Bang Olufsen. But now we are finally committed to a design. We have done the engineering of the structural system, which is all the steel you see here, laser cut to perfection. And then now we are just doing the final detailing on the aluminum panels that will be all over the entire structure. So this is all the laser cut steel for the main structure of the spaceship. You can see all the steel has small holes, square holes, laser cut into it, and they have engraved a name, so we know which part it is. And these small holes intersect with these tabs right here, so that it's easy to assemble and you get everything aligned, and you don't need any special tools, and then you can weld everything after. So it's all laser cut down to a precision of less than 0.5 millimeter. Some of the complicated angles that we can achieve with the laser cutter, it's very nice. It's very nice. I'm very excited for the next few weeks, but it's also going to be very intense. There's many things that can go wrong when you build something, such a unique structure like the Vollebak Spaceshop. Behind me we have some welding action going on. What's very important is that we keep the tolerances tight. So you'll see Frederick in the background. Every time he makes a weld, he double, triple, quadruple checks that the tolerances fit, so that we know the aluminum cladding that comes on top, all the rivets will be in the right placement. Rafael on the other side is setting up a ventilation system so that all the welding gases gets sucked outside, because we have a lot of welding activity going on. But I have the Beosound 2 speaker right here, and 4 of these Bang Olufsen Beosound speakers will be mounted here in the front, and that will be the front-facing speakers. And 4 of these bad boys, these are actually the small speakers. In the back we have 4 large Bang & Olufsen speakers that weigh 60 kilograms each. So we have a very heavy speaker setup in the back.
We're here in Bang & Olufsen, a company that I've admired since I was 18 years old for making mad shit in technology. We're here to basically go through how they're helping us create our space shop, how we're anodizing the metal, how we're making the speakers for the space shop, and to actually get behind the scenes and see all the processes that go into making a space shop, that go into making a speaker. Because as always, technology, there's 1,000 decisions to make. It's art and it's engineering combined, and what we wanted to do is show a journey of how this process works. If someone had said 8 years ago when we started the company that we're making a spaceship with Bang & Olufsen, I think I might not have believed them. This entire factory here is dedicated towards anodizing metals like aluminium, which is what the spaceship is made out of, and it's what the speaker you can buy is made out of. And this is what it takes to anodize some of the best speakers in the world and a spaceship.
Here we are.
Here we are.
In our aluminium factory, where we have a series of different production methods,
Yeah.
and things we can do to refine aluminium and make it look really, really pretty. So these are where we start when it comes into the factory.
How long time it takes?
Oh wow, look at the inside of that, that's crazy. It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to where it's being anodized now.
We are. So this is where we can add color to it, and we can also add texture. So we can make it more matte through a chemical process. So we can sort of refine the surface into almost anything we want to achieve.
They've got to be so careful walking backwards. This is a skill.
Yeah.
It's an actual skill.
So these are actually some of the panels for the spaceship.
Oh my god.
So that's...
Oh, it's wild.
That's
Oh, it's like matte and shiny.
yes, it has sort of this silver finish. And you can see how it catches the highlights and how the shadow becomes very dark. So there's a lot of liveliness and
Oh, it's brilliant.
vividness in the surface.
What does it look like right from this side? Oh, I see, yeah. The shapes are amazing. Do you know what part the shape's for?
Yeah.
What would this be for?
So these are the sort of the center of the moving panels.
Ah.
Right.
Oh,
that's
so
sort
this is the hinge bit. of the
exactly.
door.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's incredible.
I can show you on the.
Oh, I see.
To it, yeah. Like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it's quite. So obviously we had a decision to make about how much how we control what's this, aluminium. We had a decision to make about what the aluminium looks like, because obviously when you're doing quite a big surface of metal, you want it to look incredible. And so the decision was to anodize the whole thing, just like we had to anodize the speaker and anodize the jacket. But the output of this is slightly more matte than the speaker. Buy Spaceship. Often when you make stuff like clothes or spaceships, you don't actually get it seeing made. And so I think what's amazing about this process is actually seeing the process of what actually happens to the aluminium. So this is the anodization part, where we anodize all the metal. So this is how the speaker gets anodized, this is how the spaceship gets anodized. This is all the machines it takes to do it. And this is the liquid it gets anodized in. But essentially it goes in a series of baths to take a surface of the metal off and then to seal a surface of the metal on. And this is actually what it looks like. As an ex-architect, I also like aluminium, but why is it that you work with that metal solely? What is it about aluminium that's so good?
That you can do everything. So it dissipates heat incredibly well. It's very formable.
Yeah.
You can add the color to it. You can provide different surface treatments and textures. And it's easy to machine.
As a company, did you go through did you always know from the very start of the company that aluminium was the metal to work with? Or was no, you didn't know?
But we had a plastic phase also, right?
Yeah. In the old days it was wooden cabinets and formed steel and stuff like that. This actually in the old days was a combination of all kinds of metalwork.
Yeah.
And now it's purely aluminium.
The milling is you have the shape of the BO Sound 2, and then you cut the grooves out of it, and that's the milling.
Yeah.
And are the grooves or the holes therefore for the sound to come out
Yes,
of?
it is.
Okay. So what I was taught in architecture, I did architecture for, well, we were both, back in the day we were both students, weren't we? You did design, I did architecture. Because I was taught that that waste is simply matter out of place. And so as an architect and designer, sometimes you're always looking for what's the waste output of a project, but also that's sometimes the most beautiful thing. I don't know if you use this for anything, but this is kind of like that. It's quite incredible material.
But that's the beauty of aluminium, because you can just recycle it completely.
Oh, I see. Oh, so you take that down and then melt it down and then use it again.
Totally.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And the aluminium we're using is 99 point something pure aluminium.
Right.
So it's very recyclable.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's such a good way to do it.
There's no waste, really.
Yeah. I like the lights at the top. It's literally like looking at the DeLorean.
It's
It literally is
not
like
turned on
it's
the
like a
inside.
rocket.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is this what it looks like inside?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's the amplifier and the brain. So these are the brains. So that controls all the streaming and all this.
So
and
this is
which
like the
connected
computer
to-
of the speaker.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the DSP, the signal processing, and the amplifier. And this is the mains coming in. And that includes the woofer in the bottom as well. So that's where the woofer is placed in there.
Oh, and that's the top bit.
That's in.
Oh, that looks very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a skeleton and a skin.
It is.
Yeah, but this is the skeleton.
That's the skin.
I did, and this is the skin.
Yes.
Just your skin's very tough
It
and
is.
made of aluminium.
Yes.
Almost without the shell, it's kind of an amazing object.
Yeah. And then
this sits
goes
inside
into
this.
there.
You guys are clever.
We're trying.
Genius. What I love about Bang & Olufsen is you are one of the most tech companies in the world, but you're also the opposite of tech. So if the camera spins around here, we have sheep, and the sheep are the
Lawnmowers.
the sheep are the lawnmowers.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely amazing.
We are at maybe one of the most exciting points in the construction. All the 4 wings have been attached. All the actuators are installed and will be connected to power, and we'll do the first dry test, the dry run of the actuators and the doors opening. And then after that, because of course it will be successful, I expect no surprises, then we will attach the aluminum panels. Then over here, Eddie is putting on the engine parts. So those are steel tubes with 3D printed brackets that will be mounted to kind of show the engine part. And here Frederik comes with some newly fresh pieces of aluminum. It's this part, yeah? You can see the finish on that is amazing. That is so nice. That is so nice. I want to make everything out of anodized aluminum now. For the software and the hardware that goes into the spaceship, how you control it, how you operate it, we are using the exact same technology that we have in our space habitats. So we're using the same brain, the same computer for the spaceship that is operating our habitats that are being used to train astronauts around the world. We really try to make something that resembles the future here. So what you're looking at in the front is the cargo area of the spaceship. So imagine in the future when this flies between the moon and Mars, this entire section of the ship is actually detachable. So this is the cargo. This is where you have the clothing. You deliver this from one system to another. This is the engine part. So this is where the main engine of the cargo ship is. And in our case, instead of big iron thrusters, we have Bang & Olufsen speakers here and down here and on the other side. In here, we have all the flight computers, all the stuff that is necessary to make all the actuators work. And they will be accessed behind here by 2 large doors. So you will be able to pull out a door here. You have all the electronics, all the access control for the actuators, all the computers, all of that. You close that. Over here you open up. You have all the hardware that is necessary to play the beautiful sounds of outer space through the speakers, and you can close that. So for everything we do, we build prototypes, right? That is something that we do in all projects. So of course here we're going to build a prototype of the clothing display. This is just material we are laying around in the workshop. This is practically bulletproof glass. It is the exact leftover stock material for the window in our underwater habitat that kept me alive for 2 days. There's light all around, and there's 3 of these displays on each side of the spaceship, right? So you can imagine this big alu frame bolted together. There will be 3 of them here, and on the other side another 3. what we have here is the cyberdeck, which is really just an advanced and weatherproof remote control. We will have a touchscreen here with all the information and all the audio and all that stuff will play on this display. And then here we have the controllers for the different parts. And you can see, for example, on this test panel, you can see that the slider controls the brightness. It's a dimmable slider for the LEDs. And then there's going to be a computer here that controls everything with the screen. And it's nice and sealable and remote controlled. So it's very cool. Why should we go to space? Why should we design architecture for space? Why should we travel in outer space? My question is, why not? We can. It's right there. It's been there the entire time, and we are in a period now where we can do it. Why shouldn't we do it? You know, it should not be the primary focus of the entire world. There's a lot of stuff we need to do, but maybe just for a few people and a few companies, it should be the biggest goal to explore the galaxy. If you look at the human from an evolutionary point of view, we originated from the equator, right? We move to different continents, we go to colder climates. In a way, we are constantly pushing the boundary of where humans can live and stay. And it's important for the human species to continue to do that. We got to move the species forward, and that is traveling to foreign places. It just happens to be that we live in a time now where we have explored most of Earth, so now we're looking towards the stars.
Preston, do you want to tell the camera who you are?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kristen. I've been with B&O for 30 years, but my role is creative director at B&O.
Which is a proper job,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that when I was a teenager, a lazy teenager driving around on my moped, I didn't expect to be the creative director of animation, that's for sure. And I think nobody else thought that.
One of the biggest influences in my life has been reading Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is kind of like a sci-fi book that's 150 years old about traveling underwater. What stands out the most is the architecture that is described in this old book. How you have an underwater vessel where you can live and work and move around, but there was a library inside with books from all around the world, and there was a big fountain, all these architectural elements inside. That was super cool. And I read that when I was 13, and I think that really changed my life.
I think I have this attitude of just saying yes every time there's something that's unconventional coming around, which I think has brought me into all kinds of funny stuff along my career. I think if you're the person who always says, yeah, I can do that, even you have no idea about how to do it.
Yeah.
The thing is, you will always enter into areas that has never been done before. So nobody has ever done it better than you would be able to do it.
My professional background is really based on an attitude of we dream it, we build it. Do we not, a lot of the times we don't know what we do or what we're about to do, we haven't done it before. We go out and make some mistakes, and then we fix the mistakes, and then we make it work.
The other thing around always saying yes is that you also have a tendency to gather people around you who likes where it gets a little bit scary.
The most exciting people for me and the most exciting designers are the people who have just followed a journey in life, but it's not scripted in any way. The first thing you have to do is just say yes to go into a project, and that's your first commitment.
Yeah.
And also there's a second bit, which is if you put your output into the world, that is job done.
Yes.
Because you've had the bravery to go, that is my output and I believe in that, and stick it out. And I think this project's been, I was asking Darren in the plane, how the hell did we end up doing this?
Yes.
Genuinely, because I couldn't quite remember.
No.
But all of a sudden, we're building a spaceship.
Yes.
And you go, how did this work?
But I can also tell you that if we had done it conventionally, so that we have said, well, we have this idea, let's plan it out and get all people involved from the beginning.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can make it work. It wouldn't, and it would have probably taken years. And this is the way to do things. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Overcommit, get things done. You guys, every time we talk, we just make decisions and then we move on.
Yes.
So we never go back and ask somebody else
What makes me the most proud about this project is that we, in a very short amount of time, have been able to make a striking concept, something that is still true and realistic to what a future container transporter could look like, going back and forth between two planets, and visualizing it, designing it, and then building it in a super short time frame. Vollebak is like SAGA if we were making clothes. We take some of the state-of-the-art science and we apply it to the built environment around Earth and in space. And Vollebak is doing the exact same thing for clothing. They take all these super cool high-tech fabrics from NASA, from Formula One, and then they build consumer clothes with it.
What I really like about your approach is that also I actually really love new materials, and I actually really love new context. If you want to make the best speaker in the world from a sound point of view, you can't compromise.
We're here in a place called The Cube at Bang Olufsen, which feels like somewhere in between the lab at JPL and a Christopher Nolan movie. Oh wow.
This is old school.
This is old
Do
school.
you like elevators?
Oh wow,
It's a
thank
big
you.
thing. It's a proper big thing.
Oh wow. So Creston, why do they call this The Cube?
I'm not quite sure. I think it has something to do with the shape. And again, you get this sense of space in your hearing, right? It's just a different experience.
Yes.
So the whole idea of this room is actually to be able to measure the sound from the speaker driver before the sound from the speaker driver hits a wall and return to the microphone. This collaboration between you and us is a new way of combining things, situations, opportunities that we haven't done before, and then look into, together with a team of talented people, how can we actually make this succeed?
Interesting.
So it's never something where I feel that everybody's standing there looking at me and then I have to come up with a solution. It's more like, hey, let's gather the right people and tell them what we want to achieve, and then we will succeed. You cannot not achieve it.
So many times things are thought of as successes or failures. So it's really interesting to think of a company more as just a series of steps that gets the best out of an idea.
Yes.
It's a really healthy way
Yeah.
to think about design. Do you think that's a Danish thing?
I think it has to do
Yeah.
with the way we think in Denmark and Scandinavian. It's never about me. It's always about everybody bringing each other along and sharing. Everybody should be equally have equal opportunities all the way
Yes.
through life. And of course it's up to how you catch the opportunities and work with them. That brings you different places in life.
Some companies are too much like a sausage factory in that A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D.
Yeah.
But if you think about the most successful companies right now, and probably in history, it's actually a team of people who are, they might have arguments, but they're continually communicating about a series of challenges. It could be engineering, it could be design, but the point is it can't necessarily just be answered by one.
Yes.
It has to be answered by a group of people looking at it as a three-dimensional problem, as opposed to, well, I've solved this bit, now this bit.
Yeah.
And that does seem to really come out in Bang & Olufsen.
But it does.
It literally does. When you see the products, you see iteration, it goes out to success.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's a physical representation of all these great thoughts and ideas.
Which
and
takes about a year or a year and a half to get there.
It does.
Yeah, from the conception of, I think this jacket might be amazing, look at that material, or you go, oh, what about if a speaker did this?
Yes.
And then you have that journey along the way.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about design. I don't think that's ever changed. I think Gaudi must have been having that when he did the Sagrada Familia. You have an idea, and then it's how you bring it to life.
Yes.
And you have to bring it to life in its most authentic ways and with the least compromises possible to bring the best product out.
Yes.
Have you enjoyed working on a spaceship?
It's been amazing. And I think what I really like about our teamwork is the same as when our teams work the best, that we have sort of like even though we are far apart, because you're located in the UK,
yes,
we
London,
are in
London,
Denmark,
Copenhagen,
and we have
and
our
Struer.
friends in Copenhagen. Yeah, we have sort of this thread digitally.
WhatsApp.
Our WhatsApp
Basically.
thing, which is our backbone.
Yes.
And people are feeding in constantly, and that means that you all the time have a sense of who's doing what. And now I can step back a little bit and let them finish this work before I am actually able to enter in there. And it's really, really dynamic, and it works really, really well. And we are able to sort of still, even if we're far away, I think it also tells a lot about the trust and willingness to succeed here. You can throw in an idea, and it's catched immediately and refined.
Yes.
And sort of evaluating is not the right word, but sort of judged in a way where you can sort of say, yeah, that actually adds to it, and that actually makes the other thing work better. Like we talked about a lot about the lighting. How do we do the lighting? How do we do the motion that are moving? How do we place the speakers in a good way? The weight balance, then we needed the foot to be different and everything. So things are just bouncing back and forth until you have the thing that we talked about before, that suddenly everything is the only way it could be.
I mean, my dream for it, the sound should reverberate through you. So when you're listening to the sounds of the universe from a spaceship with Bang Olufsen speakers, and it opens up and you see the Vollebak clothes, and you're hearing the universe, it should make you shake. It should just be so so insane to listen to.
But the Beolab 5s, they are mean, bad.
Badass.
Yeah. They are powerful. I mean, you're talking about 200 kilos of sound. I think that was one of the surprises for SAGA, is that one single speaker is pushing 50 kilos when it sort of hits the woofer, right?
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
So it's 50 kilos each, moving back and forth.
And there's 4 of them.
Times 4.
Which is basically a bit like an engine.
It is an engine. It's a piston engine, right? So there's a lot of force going on in there. And I think it will be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be mind-blowing.
Do you remember the first time that you designed something really fucking good? And did you have a moment of, that's really good? And do you remember the first time you did that?
I'm actually not a brilliant designer.
So many brilliant designers say this line though. It's such a common thing.
Oh, is it?
Yes. But the better people get, they say, I'm not actually good at this bit.
No.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that I'm actually not the designer, right? Because I'm actually the one who's managing designs.
Sure.
So my talent is actually to make people feel comfortable, being relaxed in a way where they feel that you can say anything, and get the creativity flowing. And I also have the sensitivity to talk about what we want to achieve in a way where people feel relaxed and confident and willing to share ideas, and also creating an environment where we can take risk.
Bang Olufsen is a company. Like, it's not one person's vision, it's not one designer, but yet there's this body of work, and you go, oh yeah, I know who that is. Like, you can't miss it.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We like to say that you should be able to remove our logo and people will still say, I bet this is a Bang & Olufsen product. It's
Exactly.
You can't make things timeless.
It will find its form and it will find its design.
It will.
Yes, that's right. It always, sometimes the best design feels like you found it.
Yes.
Like it was always meant to be.
Yes.
I think when we were doing that with SAGA and making the spaceship, I remember seeing the first few designs, and there's something about you where you just go, I love it, but it's not there yet. Yeah. But it's an amazing bit. So as a designer, so how do you know it's not there yet? Yeah. Other than you just know it's not there yet, and it just doesn't feel right yet. So we went through multiple iterations of the spaceship, and at some point it was too like a car, and at other points it was too low. Yeah. And eventually we came up with this idea that it should be like a transporter. Seb and the team did. And it should be essentially like a big sort of, as if it's going to actually transport stuff around the universe, basically. It's this big shape which then opened up with the clothes inside it, and then the harmony or the great bit in the design was going and the engine, well that would be B&O speakers. Quite often also the problem is if you make a design, you fall in love, and then you hand it over to somebody without having all the feedback, whereas
the way you work is very similar to what I really enjoy is shoot out an idea, get something running, criticize, modify, identify problems, how can you fix this, get it going.
Yes.
Until you stop asking questions, then it's more like, yeah, it can't be done any other way, you know.
That's right. What do you love in design and why?
Well, what I want to achieve
Yeah.
is that you go from being rational to emotional. That's what I want to achieve.
Wow.
Right. That's a big difference between engineering and design. Is that in engineering, you can sort of put the right numbers into a formula and then you can actually get the right answer. In design, there are no right answers. There aren't.
Yeah.
There are no rules or formulas that you have to follow. But I am rational as well. So I couldn't do art that doesn't turn me on. But my purpose in life, professional life, is actually develop things. When people see it, they don't think about being rational or cost or does this actually make sense or can I defend it? It's more like I've seen it now. If I leave this shop without owning this object, my life is going to be miserable. Right? So it has to be so good that you always say, I need this, otherwise I'm not moving on. That's my goal. My biggest challenge is to keep an idea that I strongly believe is the right one. With all my experiences and talking to people outside, that this is the one. I have to do it. I mean, people hated this speaker, right, when I did that one.
Okay, amazing.
It was called the dog bowl, that one in the bottom.
And why did people hate it?
They just did.
So you made something and you
Yes.
got something out.
Yes.
And people hated it.
There were not everybody,
Not
but
everybody.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's so successful.
Could you talk about how we got this finish, or how you guys got this finish, and how it completely wasn't intended, but how we absolutely fucking love it? What is, like in the simplest terms, what is anodizing? How does it work? And how do effects like this then happen, which make them one-off?
Yeah. Typically, aluminium self-protects itself with a layer of a crystal-like surface, a glass-like surface.
Right.
And then it turns into sort of this grayish finish, which is a little bit boring.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, you can actually then treat the surface. You can polish it or sand it or whatever you want. And then you have an open surface, so it hasn't self-protected yet. And that means that all the pores on the surface, there's trillions of tiny holes that goes in there. And then you can actually pour color in to those holes.
Right.
While it's still open.
Yeah.
And then we control the sealing process. So we put a then really transparent layer of aluminium oxide on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's why you can color it, and then you can see the color through that glass layer.
Yes.
So that's basically it. So you can do any color you want except white. This was intended to be black.
Ah.
That was the idea. But then the paint didn't stick, or not the paint, the color didn't stick. Right. And that's why you have the runners.
Which is this?
So it's in principle it's runners and excess color leftovers. That's why you have them all down.
And that is the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very sad that the spaceship is almost finished, because that means that the project is coming to an end. Hopefully, I think this is just the beginning of a longer collaboration.
Right, we're here at the Space Shop. I actually haven't seen it live. Creston and Seb have. And then our producer Bruce is literally making me wait. But I don't really want to wait much longer, so we're going to go inside. Oh.
Go on, Seb.
Oh my fucking god. It's actually quite hard to take in. Oh my Jesus Christ. As a built structure, it's just phenomenal. There's batshit. There's actual batshit.
You like it?
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's absolute madness. This is where you were to say really clever things, but I've got literally nothing clever to say. We're here in a hangar in the middle of Copenhagen, somewhere secret. We're here with Creston and Seb. This is the most professional, but also the least professional moment of the project, because it feels very hard to actually say what we've done, because we've actually made something very exciting. With Creston, we have made a baby. We have made a speaker. And with Seb and Creston, Seb's made a really big baby, which is the Space Shop. How do you two feel about your babies?
I'm super proud, I would say. Yeah, it was, I think from day one it was a love affair, so which is always a good start for starting a family, I guess.
It's been a very interesting creative journey. It's been very interesting documenting the project. In documenting it, you get to see the project come to life. I think at the end of a year's journey or a 2 years journey or a 3 month journey, whatever the project is, having a physical thing, a physical speaker and a physical spaceship at the end of a journey is essentially every creative's dream, because you can walk around your project and you can look at it and you can touch it and you can listen to it.
I feel sad for the people that don't build physical objects, because it's the most satisfying thing in the world.
Yes.
And what happens when you're doing and design an engineering project like this, it's only in the very, very last few days you actually see everything come together.
Yeah. I think what's also so interesting is you see what you'd call the artifice. You see how it works, which I think is brilliant, because though you think, Seb, in architecture in space, you're not trying to make everything. It's not for beauty, it's for engineering, it's for purpose, it's so it works, and that is the aesthetic that it gives it.
And it creates a beauty, right? It creates its own aesthetic. Here we just kept it completely honest. Everything is what you see. When the team have been working and bolting and screwing and drilling, and I come down, like every single time in the last week I've seen it, I've just been awestruck.
It's very funny having 4 speakers at the front,
Yeah.
the wrong way round.
Yeah.
How do you feel about having them? It's amazing.
But I think, and the good thing about placing things in a new location is that you see them completely different, which I think is a key thing here, that you actually see them new again.
So beautiful.
I also think you get to appreciate some of the design even better because you see it at this angle, like the little touch of the cone going in there, and it's beautiful and delicate. And
that's epically good. You've basically created something in CGI but in real life. So many differences of materials, but they all work together. It's kind of amazing.
It's all raw, honest materials.
And they come from the ground. I mean, aluminium is a natural material, iron is a natural material, and glass.
We also made a record, which is the sound of the universe. Oh my God. But you two haven't seen this yet, have you? No. Oh, right. No. That's cool, isn't it? What we've been doing as part of this project is we also made we combined the sounds of the universe to create a 15-minute symphony of the sounds that Caltech and NASA have been recording from the universe. And this is a 15-minute celebration of nebulas and black holes and asteroids and various planets, where we hear the sounds that NASA has recorded from them turn into a 15-minute symphony. And we're going to play the sound of the universe out of the Space Shop. It's now the 19th of June, 2025. I feel like a TV host. We've actually come to near the finish of the Space Shop, or near the finish of the construction. We've had a day today where Seb and his team at SAGA have been sort of fine-tuning the project in getting it to this hangar to shoot this piece of video. We've got to see, okay, how do you connect all the speakers? What happens if the lights go on, if the lights don't work? How do the doors open? How does all that work? It's been an amazing project to get it to this point. What's funny and what's beautiful about this project is it's now the start of the Space Shop tour. I think it's always really beautiful giving birth to an idea because you never quite know where it's going to go. And that's the magic. That's why it's been magical working with people like Creston and Seb, because with a company like B&O and a company like SAGA, going on that journey, they have a similar mentality to us, which is we all know it's very exciting and we all know it has complete amazing possibilities to do stuff in the future. And here we are with the first final finished product. So this will probably be Spaceship 1, to be honest. There'll be probably Spaceship 2, Spaceship 3, Spaceship 4, and this is a very nice day.